Well, last night we were in Melbourne to see Melbourne take on Cronulla, and Luke Phillips made his debut as an NRL referee. Of course, Luke, another of a former first-grade player that has taken the whistle up and has made his way through to first grade. Well, Melinda Farrell spent a week with Luke talking about the transition from being player to now first-grade referee.
It's one of the biggest steps in a young player's career, the moment they hit the big time, their NRL debut.
Dylan Farrell will remember for the rest of his life.
In contrast, there's generally little fanfare to welcome the first-time referees to the premier competition. But when a former NRL player like Luke Phillips takes up the whistle, you can guarantee there'll be plenty of interest.
Yeah, pretty excited. It's it's something obviously I've looked forward to doing since I started. Everyone obviously wants to referee in the NRL, like you are as a player, you want to play in the NRL. So when I first started the cadetship 3 years ago, it was definitely something I aim to do, and this weekend finally comes forward for me.
After a successful career spanning 4 clubs, Phillips' playing days were cut short in 2003 by injury. And for the next 2 years, the premiership-winning fullback went back to park footy and spent time with his family before an unexpected idea was planted.
I was at a Roosters function one afternoon, going back as an ex-player, and Gus Gould actually got me here and said, look, why don't you try refereeing? Because I was playing park footy, I was getting a bit stale on my footy and I was getting bashed week in, week out there, and I just basically had enough of it. So I thought, maybe it's something I could do. So I went and approached Robert Finch, and it all started from there.
From there, it took just one junior game to turn the idea of donning the pink into a burning passion.
I remember my first game, I was still a bit worried, thinking, is this what I want to do? I'm actually a referee now, went out the whistle, and my first game, I read the rule book briefly and wasn't sort of sure. It was only under 13's game, but just from that first game, I thought, man, this is really good. I really enjoyed it, and thought something I could maybe pursue and go well at.
Phillips' intimate knowledge of the game saw him fast-tracked on a cadetship, and he was soon joined by another former NRL player, Henry Perenara. But interestingly, the biggest challenge for Phillips was the rule book.
As a player, you think you know the rules, but there's just so many that you don't. And obviously, going on the field, if something happens, you need to know straight away what that ruling is. So that was definitely the hardest thing for both Henry and I. It took a long time.
While the NRL is keen to see more former players join the ranks of the officials, not all of Phillips' old teammates were sure he'd made the right choice.
At first, I think I was mad. I remember talking to Anthony Machado, and he just said, you're crazy, but now that I'm doing it, they actually think it's good, and they think that, obviously more players should get involved. It's another avenue once you retire to keep fit and stay involved in the game. And there's probably other ones out there thinking, maybe it's something I could do, but it's definitely worth doing, because it's not what you think, from all the publicity and all the bad raps it gets. It's actually quite rewarding, and it's a challenging job, and it's just another avenue to stay involved.
The referees have been heavily criticised this season, but the doting father of 2-year-old Mia isn't fazed by the prospect of intense scrutiny.
I think just knowing that you've made the decisions all correct, obviously on the day, there's always going to be the so-called 50-50 calls that one side of the team aren't going to be happy with, whatever. So that's just football, So as long as you get your decisions right, you can come off the field and knowing that you've done the best you can.
And he may also be grooming the first professional female referee.
And what does a touch judge say?
Out.
What's he say?
Out.
And what does the pocket say?
Marker.
Marker.
The former Rooster had a taste of top-flight refereeing in the inaugural All-Stars game in the pre-season, and is hoping his experience as a player will give him some valuable advantages.
I think understanding what players are going through in different times of the game, you can read that. Also, the actual flow of the game, you can sort of read where the player's going, so you can get into position a lot of it to make calls. And just knowing when players are trying to, milk penalties, or they're trying to, cheat here and there, you can sort of relate to it, and you know where to draw the line in the sand.
It may not have been a vital game in terms of the 2010 premiership, But there was still plenty of anticipation in the referees' room at Amy Park.
Referees tonight, it's a big night for the referees tonight. Ashley Klein is the man who's in charge, and on debut, former first grade player, making his NRL debut, Luke Phillips tonight.
It was a lot harder than I thought, yeah, a lot faster and a lot more intense than obviously the New South Wales Cup, but it's good to get the first one out of the way. Definitely,
yeah. Does it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's a big buzz out there, the crowd, and players sort of like lift to the occasion. So it's different than what I thought it would be, but it was definitely enjoyable. Yeah, it's awesome.
And now, do you want to just come back out there again?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going now. If we get another game this year, maybe, and if not, next year, hopefully we train hard and things go good, I'll get a few more games.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Melissa.
Another great story there from Melinda Farrell, and Luke Phillips were there last night. He got away unscathed from his first grade debut, and I suppose one of the advantages of this two-referee system, which I must admit I'm not a huge fan of, is that it does allow them to blood these referees in that pocket situation, they call it, where he doesn't have to do a great deal.
To ease referees in that situation, I agree. And also, that was a low-pressure game, wasn't it? Two teams that aren't going to be featuring in the finals. There's another step up when you've got a lot more at stake in some of the big games. So that's a good way to get him ready for it.
And the interesting thing there that Luke mentioned is it was a lot harder than he thought it would be. And learning the rules is something that is not easy, because they are quite intricate at times, and some of them don't make a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, we all have trouble with the rules at times. And there are so many different calls. And I know nearly every week you pick me up on something I get wrong in the rule book. That's a problem when you commentate with someone who knows all the rules.
Not all of them, but some of them are a little bit strange. But we good luck to Luke Phillips. I hope his career continues to blossom, and Henry Perenara another one, and maybe some more former first graders may take the opportunity in the future to become referees. And they may not all make first grade just because you finish playing. There's certainly plenty of junior associations that would love to see former first grade players come back and referee park football.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to see it with my boys were playing. You wonder about the standard of refereeing sometimes. It'll all help.
We will take a break here from Canberra Stadium. As we go to the break, just a reminder, not that you need to know, because there is only one place you can get rugby league 7 days a week, and it's right here on Fox Sports.